Ms. Rosevic already touched upon some of the key issues that bridge a statistical approach with the INSTO observatories, but allow me to perhaps provide also a bit of a bird's eye view on the topic. Employment in tourism is a very important topic indeed, and it's probably never been as high on the political agenda as it is now, post-COVID. Now, from statistics, statistics is in essence an agreed way of measuring something. And so what we do in statistics relates to the development of international standards, which we call measurement frameworks that are internationally agreed by all relevant stakeholders for a specific area of measurement. Now, in this case, we would be talking about the employment in tourism. And then these frameworks, they get translated into practical implementation guidance and ultimately resulting in the production of data in countries and different stakeholders based on these frameworks and based on the implementation guidance. Now, next slide, please. Allow me to go into just a brief overview of the conceptual frameworks that are relevant for the measurement of employment in tourism. So as many of you will know, because we have been working with several of you, with several INSTO members also in this area. So we have two internationally agreed UN standards for measuring tourism, and this includes also employment elements. So on the left, you will see the international recommendations for tourism statistics that also Mr. Rosevic mentioned earlier. Here we find the international consensus on how to measure things like employed persons, both employees and self-employed, jobs, hours worked, and full-time equivalent of employment in the tourism industries. And in the tourism satellite account, which measures the economic contribution of tourism, which is shown in the middle, that also includes a specific table for measuring employment in tourism from an economic perspective. And so it covers data on jobs by status, employees or self-employees, and also by male, female, in addition to the number of establishments. So this allows also some very interesting analysis to be carried out in countries that are compiling this information, countries or other stakeholders. Now, in response to increasing calls to expand also the statistics of tourism, to include a perspective of sustainability, UNWTO has been leading over the past few years an international efforts together with leading countries, as well as entities such as the UN, the International Labour Organization, the development of a framework to measure the sustainability of tourism. And here, allow me to also note the important role that several INSTO members have been participating in the development of this. I see some of you on the webinar here with us today. And allow me to also say that this has been a very important development because it is one of the first times, or possibly even the first time, that in the development of a statistical framework, of an international consensus to measure something, that we look also at the territorial perspective. And here UNWTO has indeed been very careful to try and have as large an engagement effort as possible to have this upcoming universally applicable standard also include the diverse visions and perspectives from different stakeholders when it comes to measurement, but also when it comes to measuring employment of tourism more specifically. So in this framework, so far, on the environmental side, it looks at employment related to environmental activities, also known as green jobs. On the social side, it looks at things like entrepreneurship and decent work, where we have been collaborating very well with the International Labour Organization. And of course, on the economic side, it includes elements related to education level and occupations, which are derived also from the IRT as mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So we could say that MST is a true 360 approach to measuring tourism. It looks not only at the different dimensions, economic, environmental, and social, but as I mentioned before, it's also the very first time that a very explicit territorial perspective is being taken to facilitate and support the harmonization of data across different territorial levels, right? So the international, the national, and also the subnational destination level. And it's been a very multidisciplinary effort. So we've had statisticians, we've had national accountants, tourism and sustainability experts, also policymakers and destination managers, to ensure that what we're creating from the measurement side really does respond to the data needs, to the real data needs on the ground. And of course, the ultimate aim is to present this framework to the UN. We will do so at the beginning of next year for their endorsement as the next UN standard in tourism. And this would be the third UN standard that UNWTO advances. Next slide, please. So let's head into the implementation and also some of the work that UNWTO has been supporting with respect to this. Next slide, please. So we have some practical implementation guidance, of course, the compilation guide to the IRTS that you might know. This provides practical guidance on using sources and methods to compile statistics, including statistics on employment that I mentioned before, and then also two other documents, publications that we have worked on with the International Labour Organization. One on best practices for measuring employment in the tourism industries, and another on the sources and methods related to labor statistics and the full utilization of labor statistics when it comes to tourism. And now next slide, please. In terms of some of the data, allow me to just give you, next slide, please, just an introduction to some of the data that UNWTO compiles, so that information that Ms. Urosevic was hinting at before. So there are 17 different indicators that UNWTO compiles on employment in the tourism industries, and that are shown on the screen. And this is what this is where we have approximately 40% of countries worldwide that provide this information. And as you see, the information is quite disaggregated, so it's beautiful. It's a beautiful data set to start some analysis on, because it also allows for international comparability, right? These have been based on international standards. And also a piece of news. So at the statistics department, we started collecting 11 additional indicators, additional to these that you see on the screen, related to employment, that we will be also disseminating quite soon. And these relate also to more information on the number of jobs, on full-time equivalent jobs, on the number of persons employed, both in the tourism industries, with respect to the total economy, and also those directly attributable to tourism demand. This is very much also a TSA-based indicator. Next slide, please. This gives you a bit of an indication of the countries that are producing information on employment in the tourism industries. And as mentioned, of course, data coverage could certainly be improved, and we hope that initiatives such as yours, such as INSTO, such as this webinar, help to raise awareness also about the importance of measuring this important topic, so that governments and entities across the world feel perhaps also a higher need to invest in this, right? Because as I mentioned before, we have a very solid conceptual foundation for measuring employment in tourism. And now it seems that we really need to make that jump towards a more broad-based implementation in countries. And of course, it is also very much our job to raise this awareness. And also, if indeed employment in tourism, and certainly post-COVID, is such an important and urgent policy topic, then what better way to cater to that by also investing in the soft infrastructure that measurement entails, no? So allow me to finish with a final slide from the UN, the president of the UN General Assembly, who recently referred to the work on MST on the occasion of the high-level political forum in New York. And he stated that the framework for measuring the sustainability of tourism will offer us more data and a better insight into the challenges we are trying to solve. Now, with this, I come to the end, and I very much look forward to the conversation and to having more opportunities like this to continue to learn from each other on this important topic. Thank you very much.